Oh, right. Nice Saturday, calm, relaxing. Wait, what?
Hey everyone, welcome to the first What's Next in Raid episode of
But it's
2023.
Saturday.
It's only fitting that we kick the year.
Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. So apparently we're doing news announcements now on Saturday afternoon. I just come back from coffee with the mother, having a nice kind of catch up after a week. You know, a hard grinding week where we had a big amount of dungeon divers, the end of the fusion, so I was looking forward to a nice chill weekend, but apparently that is not the case. Now, obviously, we knew something could have potentially be coming because they've cancelled Clan versus Clan for next week, and we all know that Clan versus Clan is a big money generator, so the only reason they'd cancel this is if there was something big coming. So we kind of had this inclination that something big was going to be coming on Tuesday and Wednesday. There must be some sort of patch. We know Live Arena was like being hinted. And we also knew that hard mode that you can see on the screen here was in the design artwork. So I'm going to go through this video, give my reaction to it, give my thoughts and opinions. And then, yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, what you think about these changes as well, whether you think I'm wrong or right. Let's go. Let's have a look.
You're off with some huge news about what's coming to the game.
Okay,
so,
huge
let's
news.
Waste no time in getting
Of course,
right
there's
into
new champions.
First up, let's start with the new PvE content. We're supercharging some of our familiar dungeon bosses, making for a really tough endgame challenge. Introducing Hard Mode Dungeon.
So we knew hard mode dungeons were coming, we saw some artwork, and one of the key things we wanted to know was hopefully these hard mode dungeons weren't just stage 26 to 30. They haven't done that. It looks like it's a completely different category of difficulty and also different bosses. We're going to have a look at the mechanics now. Energy wise, it looks like it's 20 energy, so there's no more additional energy for these hard mode dungeons. That's a good thing. You know, they've added Sand Devil and Iron Twins recently. All of that requires energy that we weren't spending. We're not going to be spending any more energy for these bosses that we didn't already spend for stage 25 to begin with. That's a good positive. It still looks like it's 5 to 6 star artifacts here as well. I'd have preferred just 6 star, but we'll see. Maybe there's something else I'm not sure about.
When we say hard mode, we mean hard mode.
Tainted.
These aren't just minor buffs and tweaks. We've really changed up the mechanics and abilities of these bosses.
Wow, look at him.
Adding devilish new twists to old classics. That's not to say you'll have to change how you approach dungeons entirely. Old stages will remain the same, with these remix dungeons being accessible via 10 extra stages for the Dragon's Lair, Ice Golem's Peak, Fire Knight's Castle, and Spider's Den.
So I just want to pause it there to make a big disclaimer, because I know people will be freaking out about this. It's already too difficult. How am I meant to do this? Your old dungeons are still going to be the same. You're still going to be able to farm Spider 20, Spider 24. You're still going to be able to farm Ice Golem 24, 20, Stage 16. They're still going to be the same. They're not getting touched according to this. This is a layer above for the end game, late game. So don't panic if your current teams can do it very well and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to have to go find new champions. They're still going to work. Although there's probably incentives to doing these hard modes naturally.
So let's meet our combatants. These bosses weren't exactly nice to start off with, but a creeping darkness has tainted them even further.
Another thing to quick note here, they're all the same level. So maybe stat scaling is not going to be so bad, but they could scale it with modifiers. So the way that they scale content in the game is either done via level on a base number. So the more levels, the higher the base number and vice versa. Or they will do it via modifiers where they'll just boost the stat by 1.5 or they'll add 100 accuracy. This is how they scale different things. So it could be that this scaling from 1 to 10 is done via modifiers, not via level.
They're tougher, stronger, and more brutal than their regular counterparts. So bring your A game. Let's start with the noxious dragon, its tainted Hellraiser. Rather than more fire, this malevolent fiend has doubled down on horrific poisons.
Okay, so what's that? 4 poisons on a 3-turn cooldown. So there's a lot of poisons.
His mephitic fire skill will apply twice.
But it does look like you can resist it. Or so like Duchess resisted it. So maybe the resistance numbers are achievable.
As many poison debuffs as its normal counterpart, Wall of Fire, and it beefs up Tainted Hellraiser with a 50% increase attack buff for good measure.
Which can be stolen.
Also, his secret skill, Toxic Incineration, will activate all poison debuffs on your champions at once. This caustic explosion can deal major damage, so be sure to bring someone who can cleanse these poisons from your team. Now,
so generally they are not too stressed because you can still poison the boss. you can still do your same strategy. It looks like you can resist, so potentially you can hit a resistance check. Now, we don't know what those numbers are going to be. It could be insane. It might not be. But you could still potentially do the same strategy that most of us do, where we have kind of like a boss killer that can do lots of damage. You know, if I just need to boost my Armiger's resistance up to like 700, then maybe that's still going to work. Who knows? But in terms of like overall strategy, none of the poisons are protected, none of the buffs are protected, none of the poisons cannot be resisted, right? So there seems to be no like additional. It just seems to be more of what you already face.
Let's take a look at Tainted Clysis and see what new tricks he's hiding up his frozen sleeves. Debilitating Frost will remove all debuffs from Tainted Clysis and decrease.
Oh, that's a problem already. Right, poison strategy's going out the window.
Increase your team's turn meter by 30%.
And
also,
30%.
He's now utterly immune to poisons.
He's immune to poisons. He's immune. Right, okay, that's a game changer. Most people who complete high-end Ice Golem kind of have like this bad L Tomb Lord solo, and you know you don't activate the passive if you poison him. You can use things like Brimstone as well and other things to do damage, but normally those strategies you just out-poison him and let the poisons do damage. That's not going to work. So the solo Frozen Banshee, your Dark Kale builds, your bad L's, they're not going to be able to kill this boss. That's a massive, massive change.
Makes sense, seeing as he's literally made from ice. So, how do you defeat something made of ice?
How do you?
You melt it. HP Burn is your friend here. It deals 10% more damage to Tainted Clysis and destroys the max HP of his minions.
Now that 10% is not that crazy. Like, unless it's, instead of 3%, it deals 10%, then that's cool. But if it's just 10% of the 3%, then it's only 3.3% damage, which is like 20k. It's not that crazy. So, yeah. So basically we're saying you now have to use HP Burn. That's not exactly going to be very comforting because that's going to take a long time.
Making it easier to put them back into the ground whenever they get dragged back into the fight. Needless to say, some teams that used to shine in this dungeon will be getting the cold shoulder from Tainted Clysis instead.
Absolutely.
Be prepared to change your teams accordingly.
I think for that strategy, we might see the return of the block revive champions to try and deal with the minions and just deal with the passive. Someone like a Phenax, Rotus, Blood Gorge style mechanic where you kill the allies on the left and right and then just try to smack it more. Because I don't really think a HP burn strategy when there's only one ally out is going to really get it done quickly. I mean, it's basically going to require 10 burns to get to 30%. So you're going to need 30 skill turns. That's a long fight. I think there's going to have to be some adaptation there. But again, it's good, right? Hard mode is going to change the way you have to approach that boss. As long as it's not impossible.
Next up, the Ice Golem's hot-tempered counterpart, Tainted Fyro, the Fire Knight. If you thought his shield was nasty before, just wait until you see it now. It goes from needing 12 hits to break in stage 25 of normal mode to needing 21 hits in stage 10 of hard mode. And that's
21.
Not even your biggest worry. Attacking Tainted Fyro's shield will destroy your champion's max HP by 1%. Need more HP destruction? His Corrupting Blaze skill also destroys your team's HP by 15% of the damage dealt. Meaning, whatever he does, your HP is taking a hit. You'll need to find a way to counter this, or else Tainted Fyro will be carving through your champions like a hot knife through butter. Oh, and he's immune to turn meter reduction.
Oh, no. Okay, so Allure is now dead for finite hard mode, as is probably any sort of turn meter control, but there. The decrease in max HP adds some value to Miracle Heal, because at least you can try and counteract it. The bad thing is, in order to get 21 hits, you're going to need to bring some sort of multi-hitting. So the 1% is actually going to be exponentially worse because every hit you do, you're going to get 1% of your HP destroyed. So it's kind of like, it's not really 1%, it may be 3% for a triple hitter. That's actually quite rough.
Too. Sorry, all you Cold Heart and Allure fans. However, all hope is not lost. Turns out Tainted Fyro just needs to chill out. Okay. Using freeze may not literally freeze him, but it will cause him to lose 15% of his turn meter per freeze debuff.
Right.
Cool.
So your Carl, being a free legendary champion from the Clan Gold, is now MVP because every one of abilities of your Carl does is a freeze. I think it's A1 is a 50% chance on each hit. So you can still turn meter control him, but you need freeze. So champions that do freeze on an A1, someone like Sir Nicholas has an unresistible freeze on an A1. That could be quite good. You lose 15% of that. So, I mean, anything that does like triple hit freeze. I think Gory has a triple hit A2 with 100% chance of freezing on a 3-turn cooldown. That's effectively a 45% turn meter reduction. That's going to be pretty good. But again, this is another situation where your original Fire Knight teams are now out the window. Gone are your Allures. Gone are your Halls Rings. Those types of champions, they're gone. You're going to need lots of attacks. And you're going to also need some form of solution for your destroy max HP. Now, it depends. If you can guarantee the boss doesn't take a turn, then you don't need to worry about the max HP loss unless you're a HP-based dealer, because you're not going to take any damage. But if you can't, then you're going to need some form of miracle heal reduction. Fire Knight might be a bit more complicated. It looks like the hardest one so far in terms of like a strategy, because 21 attacks, like you can see they're using a martyr here. Like you're going to need some form of ally attack or counter attack here, maybe revenge gear, to even get through 21 to start with. Like I can run an auto team that clears him for 12 attacks, but he's going to take a turn easily at 15 to 20. It's going to be tough.
Let's move on to our next star, Tainted Scavag.
What else have we got?
Her endless brood of spiderlings. The changes to her dungeon should send shivers down your spine. First, Tainted Scavag is immune to turn meter reduction and HP burn. We're not kidding. In fact, if you've got HP burn on her spiderlings, each AP burn activation will now partially heal her. So you'll definitely want to avoid that.
Oh, poor Sissia fans. Okay, Spider 25 hard, or Spider 10 hard is a completely different strategy to Spider 25. Completely different.
Also, her spiderlings are immune to freeze, so that old trick
can't
won't save
freeze,
you
but you can stun.
Where one door closes, another one opens. Each time a spiderling dies, Scavag loses a chunk of her HP. So, upping your area of effect gain,
it's reverse HP burn. Just kill the spiderlings. I have a very, very clever strategy for this.
Another saving grace is that hard mode spiderlings
that it requires an epic champion, so I'm not too worried about that.
So if you can splat them there, you can splat them here. Overall,
But keep in mind, Spider 25 spiderlings are not exactly the easiest one-shottable champions in the game. Like they've probably got a really boosted Masha lead there. So unless those spiderlings are really squishy, that might be a bit challenging. But as long as you can nuke the spiderlings, you probably nuke the boss, but you can't stop the boss from healing. There's no turn meter reduction. So in essence, as much as it's a negative that you lose all those different features, it frees up spots in your team for just more AoE, right? You don't need to bring an Armiger or a Cold Heart because you can't turn meter control it anyway. So you just might as well bring more AoE damage dealing.
Hard mode dungeons live up to their name, and taking them on is well worth the effort. Along with yielding greater rewards and more event or clan v clan tournament points, hard mode
that'd be why we cancel clan versus clan.
Dungeons will also drop mythical artifacts and accessories.
Right.
Until now, you could only get mythical artifacts from Hydra battles, but it wasn't exactly an easy location to farm. Once hard mode dungeons go live, you'll get to choose which sets to hunt for and have more ways to earn mythical artifacts and accessories.
Okay.
And trust me, you'll want these mythical goodies to prepare for the challenges we've got cooking this year. Speaking of challenges, we all know that the best thing in life is to crush your enemies. Climb the ranks of the arena, and become the best in the world. But until now, you can only test your strength against
So just to close out the dungeons there, I think Dragon doesn't look too scary. I think there's potential that you just need to bring a little bit more to do that. Ice Golem looks quite difficult. Might be the slowest of the dungeons. Fire Knight, can you get the shield down? Is going to be the biggest question. Once you do, how much freeze can you bring? And then I would say the Spiderling, I'm not too scared about because there is like secret strategies that I know that will make that work quite well. Mythical artifacts are going to cause maybe some upset because essentially you have to refarm all your gear again, and it will push more, again, more stat creep, more stat bloat towards the people who can do a lot of dungeon farming. It will probably get people farming dungeons again because I know a lot of players stop farming dungeons because you could run 800 Fire Knight 10 and you wouldn't find much upgrades. It'll be interesting to see what the drop rates of those mythical artifacts, and of course as soon as it goes live, probably I would imagine Tuesday, based on the fact they've cancelled Clan vs Clan. I think a lot of those hard mode dungeons has got to be coming next week, otherwise there's no point in cancelling Clan vs Clan. I would imagine we're going to get that Tuesday. I'll obviously get in there, I'll have a look at the drop rates, I'll work with Senti to pull out the actual stats to see which stages are the best to farm. It won't make much difference in terms of energy because they're all the same energy. So probably stage 10 is likely to be the best for the hard mode. But it will be interesting to see how much drop rate chance you get for these mythical artifacts. It's good though. I would have preferred the live PvP before the hard mode dungeons, just because I feel like we've been waiting for PvP changes for a while. But certainly I'm not like too disappointed by finding new ways and new challenges to beat these dungeons, right? Dungeons have been a bit stale since they brought out really power creep champions. I'm sure within 24 hours, someone will have an easy farm solo build or something crazy like that. It's just the case that, you know, if you've got the S tier +4 empowered champions, then you're going to brute force it.
AI-controlled defense.
So this is live arena. It's got to be, right?
More than that.
This has got to be live
head-to-head
arena.
with other players to feel the thrill of real-time PvP and test your skill against opponents as cunning as you are. Now, at last, we can say that dream is becoming reality.
At last.
Live arena is coming to Raid.
The year of PvP has started.
We're super excited about it and can't wait to see how Raid's PvP scene will evolve after the feature goes live. We won't go into too much detail today, so consider this an appetizer before.
So that's definitely not going live next week.
Or a full feature preview video later this year. Live Arena will be available to all players who are...
So it's a brand new arena mode. It's not a replacement or an improvement for Classic Arena. So it'll be interesting to see if we're doing anything for Classic Arena here, or whether this is going to be just a completely new system and we're not doing anything to Classic Arena.
Level 50 and above.
Oh no. Another token? Do we have to have another currency?
You can queue up for battles several times a day on a set schedule.
Okay, so it looks like
a necessary
5.
measure to avoid long wait times.
We've got 5 tokens that you can queue up 4 times.
Once you've queued up,
this model here is a bit like how Diablo Immortal, if anyone played that kind of game, did it, where they had PvP in the game, but you had like 2-hour windows split throughout the day that you could actually queue up for. I think it's designed to try and like condense the player base into this is when you should PvP versus this is when you should PvE, rather than having it on all the time and then players never really queuing up. It makes it feel more event driven, which I think is a good idea, because there is a risk that you try to do PvP and nobody's around. So you just sit there forever and then you click cancel.
You'll be added to the matchmaking pool and you'll get matched up against an opponent as soon as possible. After pairing up with an opponent, the Battle of Wits begins with picking champions. During this phase, both players will pick their champions one by one, building a team of 5.
Draft mode.
Each player will then get to ban a single enemy champion from the fight and choose their team leader. No doubt some of you more devious players will come up with plenty of mind games for this. Oh, and one thing to mention, you won't be able to use duplicate champions in the higher live arena tiers. Once the teams have been...
Right, so that's important to know. Why that is important, because drafting is a very key component in a lot of competitive endgame games. You know, think of League of Legends, think of Summoner's War that we've been kind of taking a look at to see how it would model. Being able to draft one by one is a strategic decision making, because you look at it and go, okay, the enemy is drafting Cupidus. Okay, well, I can now choose to either pick my own Venus and stop him, or I can ban out the enemy's Cupidus and just destroy that composition. Or what if they pick a Venus, maybe they pick a Cupidus. I can even play mind games and go, I'll pick the Venus to make him think I'm going Venus Cupidus when I'm actually not. Now, some of this might pay off, some of this might not pay off, but it gives you strategic decision making to be able to force your opponent into different countermeasures. A lot of offense can counter defense, and a lot of defense is designed to try and fit everything. The biggest problem with arena defense right now is you're trying to answer all potential counters, whereas in live arena now, I can kind of go, well, I'm going to run at the moment, I'm going to run, say, a Venus Cupidus team, and the enemy goes, oh, I can see they're going to run a Venus Cupidus team. Either I ban it out, or I bring an exact counter to that Venus Cupidus team. Or maybe they're going to bring something like a stall team that they're going to try and beat out by basically out-surviving your enemy damage dealers. And then you might decide you want to bring more DPS. Like, this is the importance of having a drafting phase in live arena rather than just what it is now, which is pick 4 champions and go. It allows you to strategically pick your team based on what the enemy is picking. It makes it more interactive.
Been drafted, the battle begins.
Turn modes.
It won't be all that different as far as core mechanics are concerned, except you're fighting a real human.
Makes sense.
So be prepared for nasty surprises that the AI could never come up with. All phases in battle will have an overall time limit and a limit on player turns. Should the overall time limit run out, both players will receive a defeated result.
Good. You can't just make an unkillable team. You have to bring a win condition. That's good. It means that some of the defenses that you face, which you just can't kill, it means the opponent has to bring something to win.
Fighting the clock as much as you're fighting your opponents here, so don't try and stall out for the win. On top of the sheer awesomeness of fighting other players...
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the artwork of these dungeons, guys? Look how cool this place looks. Brand new dungeons. Whatever you say about Raid and all the different monetization strategies, kudos to their art department. They never fail to disappoint and impress and go a level above any of their competitors. It's so good. Look how cool it looks.
In real time,
amazing.
There'll be dedicated live arena quests, new artifacts, a new addition to the Great Hall.
Whoa. Let's just... New quests. Please don't make this gated. Like, I think it's okay if live arena is okay to play. Just don't make it like, you know, the artifact for my free-to-play right now where I have to ascend an artifact. I can't do the Sand Devil, so you're just making me lose something. Be careful how you do those quests. I'm okay with them so long as they're reasonably accessible and they don't cost energy or resources, which I would imagine, considering there's new tokens to entry, it's not going to cost you anything to do live arena, so it would be fine. Great Hall development. Now, here's a big thing. You can see this Great Hall here is basically what, like, I would say 40 to 50% of the end game players are sitting at right now. We've completed our Great Hall. What do we do with Classic Arena medals? We have 30-odd thousand of them. Now, this looks like we're not reworking the Great Hall.
Or you can spend your heart.
We're adding a new Great Hall, which is going to have new currency. No, this is not what we want. Okay, so let's take a positive look. We get a brand new Great Hall, so there's reasons for development. Awesome. The currencies here are based on live arena, so the only way you can improve, by the looks of it, we just go forward a little bit.
And other rewards to look forward to. But we'll talk about all that later.
So it looks like the arena awards you get from live arena. See, this is a blunder for me, right? Okay, so the positives here, we've got some reason to do live arena because we're going to get currencies that are going to improve our PvE. That's a bit of a blunder in the sense that we know that you shouldn't really associate PvE with PvP, right? I mean, you're basically forcing people into live arena to improve their PvE. That's not really fair. But this is kind of cool where we've gone away from just like generic 10%, 20%. You're now going to be able to see where you want to improve. This is actually going to take a very long time to improve. Ignore defense is a bonus here. That's actually quite insane, depending on how much that scales by. I mean, 20 speed. 20 speed. Now, here's an important thing. The positive, none of this is going to affect live arena. Look, these are all dungeon areas. So the benefits that you gain from upgrading your area bonuses are not going to impact live arena. So it doesn't matter if I have plus 20 speed here because it's not going to make the arena plus 20 speed. That's the first positive. The second positive here is we're not ever going to outscale this. It's going to take us years, right? Because we're going to have to get gold on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different categories across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, that's a lot of upgrading to do. So this area bonus is a bit more long-term than the normal Great Hall. That's good. Now here's the negatives for me. Firstly, why are you tying PvP with PvE? Because people are going to feel like they have to do live arena to improve their dungeon times. That's a bit of a negative. The second thing, actually winning in PvP doesn't benefit you at all in PvP. That's the second thing. The third thing here is you've forgotten about normal Classic Arena. I don't have a reason to continue normal Classic Arena. It's going to be less so now because Platinum Arena is probably going to become less valuable than Live Arena because Live Arena will be seen as the higher tier of competitive nature. So unless we are getting improvements to the Classic Arena not announced in this video, we'll see. I'm concerned by the fact that we've just kind of like we talked about like reworking the Great Hall. We haven't reworked it. We've added on top and we've forgotten about the rest. So what do I do with my 30,000 gold medals? These bonuses are cool. Ignore defense, speed, accuracy. They'll help you improve over time. But I do wonder how, like, if we can only do 5 battles a day and we saw that a bronze we won 20, and then if we go forward a little bit, like we need 100. So level 1 is basically going to be, so 1 day of winning in live arena. It's actually not too bad. A whole level is basically 1 day of bronze live arena. But are we only going to get 20 gold as well? The third thing that I would say is a big fail. What if I can't get into gold live arena? I'm just hard capped at level 6. or I'm at hard capped at level 3. This is the bronze tag. This is tag team arena all over again. The good rewards are in gold. It's very hard to get into gold because it's a limited player. Now, the only good thing is live arena looks like it's a ladder. So you're not capped by player capacity. But that's going to bring its own problem as well, because if not enough people are playing live arena, then how can you climb? Like, I think there's some flaws here that concern me. I'm going to wait for the full details, but I think positivity, the system looks great. Live arena looks fun. Depends what the rewards are in terms of those new artifacts. This scaling in terms of this locking out of different tiers, I think is a big mistake. I would have preferred it just to have one individual currency that you just get more of as you climb the ranks, rather than locking me out into different tiers. You're just going to annoy people.
Features will be working
and hopefully they rework the classic
future,
arena.
We also have some significant
quality of life. What else?
Updates coming too. First of all, we're going to make separate multi-battle settings for various game modes and even for some individual dungeons. This should make it even easier to customize your farming teams and ensure they don't run into any trouble during their artifact hunts.
Right.
We're also expanding your artifact selling options in multi-battle mode. Right now, you can only choose what rank of artifacts you want to get rid of, but we're changing it so you can pick which artifacts you want to keep based on the...
Oh, this is brilliant. Mobile players unite, like, rejoice. This is what mobile players don't have. You know, if you haven't used RSL Helper, you don't have all these fancy selling rules. This is exactly what you want to do if you use multi-battles. I might only be farming a specific dungeon. I don't want flat stats, but I might want to keep some 5-star legendary gear. Now I can basically say, I want you to sell anything that is 4 to 5 star, that is common, epic, and I don't want anything from these sets. Sell all these sets, sell all these set flat stats. Amazing. This is a brilliant quality of life change. Well done, Plarium. Really, really good.
Rarity, type, set, specific substats, or any
like I might just want to sell all defense.
Factors. It won't be difficult to set up, and it'll make your farming a lot smoother. We're also adding a new sorting option for artifacts and accessories.
Look at this.
That'll allow you to sort your gear by stats. For players with many artifacts, it should help you keep on top.
So we got priority stats, primary status, substats.
Of things. Finally, we're going to sort out the chaos that is the Fragment Summons tab.
Yeah, it's a bit
Champions that are currently unavailable by any means will be hidden from the list, unless you've got at least one of their fragments.
Good.
It's a small enough change, but it'll make navigating Fragment Summons much easier. And finally...
Those quality of life changes, by the way, guys, are actually... They're going to make the game so much more, like, fun to play. The only thing I would say is if you're going to add mythical artifacts... Artifact storage is now a problem. Performance issues are a problem. Like, you've added so many good sets and so many different things. It's so difficult to keep a clean artifact inventory and actually have a coverage for all the different sets you'll need. I don't know whether 1300 is enough limit, but I know if you increase that limit, the performance is going to be a problem. So you will start hearing people argue for a bigger artifact inventory storage if you're going to require them to farm new artifact sets from Live Arena, mythical artifacts from hard dungeons. Where are we going to store all these things? But the quality of life improvements in terms of auto selling, there are, I cannot tell you. Like, I'm very happy that mobile players have got an improvement for once.
It wouldn't be
of course, we got new champions as well.
Showing off some awesome new
Look at these guys
in the pipeline.
Artwork team.
Many of these fabulous
take a bow.
Fashionable Ogrins,
never fail to
and their friends
disappoint.
Are all but ready to jump into the summoning pool and join the fight for Teleria.
For these,
a few are still in the early stages of development, and we need to iron out some new mechanics. They'll be worth the wait, and we think you guys will love them. And that's it for this episode of What's Next in Raid. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to keep up with all the exciting...
So, big things coming. We've got hard dungeons, which, let's face it, is coming Tuesday or Wednesday. It's the only reason why they've cancelled Clan vs. Clan. So we haven't really got an awful lot of time to turn around. Like on Hellhades.com, we're going to have to start rethinking all of our rating systems, because currently we have Allure as a 5 out of 5 for Fire Knight. Well, she ain't going to be a 5 out of 5 for hard mode Fire Knight. So we're going to have to think of a better solution for that. On this channel, I will start forecasting some strategies. I will probably do a video on Monday where we go through all of the different dungeons and different potential ways, early days, some team concepts before we have the data to kind of go, okay, what kind of champions should you be thinking about looking for? Maybe we'll pull out a list of all those freeze champions that we can use as a reliable turn meter reducer for Fire Knight. We'll do some fun stuff. I'll also be streaming on Monday as well. So we will be that stream will probably be heavily focused on this update in terms of looking at forecasting and strategy and looking at different things there. So yeah, so hard modes I think are coming there. Live Arena looks like it's a few patches away. at least maybe 1 or 2 patches away, but it looks really good. One of my main concerns when they announced Live Arena was, would they implement it correctly? I think they have. I think it looks really good. Now, the reward structure and the way they've done the rewards concerns me, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt and give them some time to have a look at that and give more details before I kind of make my final statement. But I don't like the fact we have to keep locking people out based on their rank, right? Scale it based on the volume of rewards, not the specific milestone of ranks, because you just end up in the same situation you had with Classic Arena where someone has to get a goal to finish a mission. They hate life. They want to quit the game. It's just not fun. It's not fair. They changed those missions. They should really start thinking a bit more holistically about how things work in this game. But we'll see what they come up with. Live Arena looks good. Quality of life changes, I'm very happy about. I think they're going to be very, very good, especially for mobile players who don't have access to RSL Helper and all those things. So that's a good kudos win. And yeah, we'll have to see. New champions. We'll probably get a new Fusion announcement very soon. I would imagine within 2 weeks or maybe a week we'll get the announcement, and then it'll start probably, maybe not next week, but the week after. We'll probably get a new Fusion that will start. Hopefully it won't be as hardcore as the end of the Oella one, which we had a really kind of a long dungeon divers. That was quite a strenuous one. Probably be a champion fragment, I would have thought. Half an hour video on a Saturday that I try to take Saturdays and Sundays offline a little bit these days to try and chill out a bit. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm looking forward to some new dungeon challenges, and we will see how it goes. If you like this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you think about all these changes. Are you excited about these? Let's try and keep it positive, okay? Let's try and give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that they are trying to make the game fun and engaging for the players. I know some of these things are not going to be very well received. I know people are going to be panicking about those finite shield numbers, and maybe you'll need some legendary void champions. I'm sure we'll find ways around it. We always can with Raid. It's a deep game. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. And as I said, on Monday, we'll probably be theory crafting and discussing in detail. Come join me on stream, 8 p.m. UK time. We'll have a look at these. But until then, guys, I will catch you in the next video.